All right, now let's watch Real Estate Expert answers U.S. housing crisis questions.
But my salary doesn't. Sad face. That's really disappointing. So if we look back to 1995 to now, the percentage increase is almost 100% increase in the amount of rent people are paying. But income doesn't increase as quickly. Of course, rents increase with inflation, but this is more than that. A lot of the low cost units are disappearing from the market because they have transitioned to luxury housing. Landlords are charging more and more based on upgrades they've made, or they've transitioned to for sale homes. There's also been an increase.
Prop 13 rooked the entire state of California. My landlords pay like $5,000 a year on a $1.3 million house that I get to pay $3,000 to rent. Yeah, isn't it fucking wonderful when you get to pay someone else's mortgage, by the way? And then some? And pocket change for them? It's great. I mean, that's what this is. You're just working every fucking day of your life to subsidize someone else's living conditions. You literally work every day so you can give someone else who got the money before you, who was able to sit on this fucking land and lord over you basically and subsidize their lifestyle. That's it.
Increase in what's called institutional investment. These are corporations buying up homes and also multifamily residential buildings to rent them out to make a profit. In 2001, only about 18% of rental units were owned by corporations. Today, that's about 50%. So it's really
Oh, she's Canadian. That's why. Okay.
Really likely that you're paying your rent to a corporate landlord. At Gareth McDade asks, is there a housing emergency or not? We are in a housing emergency and we're also in a housing crisis. A housing emergency is actually a legal term. If a vacancy drops below 5%, the municipality can declare a state of emergency. And that allows them to access all these different kinds of policies. Rent stabilization, rent control are examples of this. A healthy housing market has above 5% vacancy rate. The vacancy rate in New York City is actually 1.4% right now. Anything that charges less than $2,400 a month in rent, the vacancy rate is actually 0.4 to 0.8, a very low vacancy rate. I Love B43 asks, why are houses so expensive? Houses are really expensive right now. Number one, it's a supply and demand issue. The US is short about 4 million homes to meet the current demand. And a scarcity of any commodity means the price goes up, up, up. In fact, 2023 was the least affordable year ever to buy houses in the United States. Interest rates are increasing. It's very expensive to invest in development projects. And it also encourages developers to develop luxury housing rather than more affordable housing. Because this wealthy market exists, developers
Yeah, except when, you know, the interest rates were low, they still weren't fucking developing affordable properties. Sorry to, you know, disagree with your urban housing professor chatters, but
are building to target that market. They're building very expensive luxury homes. That means that other housing isn't getting built. So everyone's prices increase as a result of more luxury development. At True NYJ,
seems like interest rates increase, only expensive properties get developed. Interest rates decrease, only expensive properties get developed. Does seem like only expensive properties are getting developed. It's not like the incentive structure changed.
Jet GC asks, why are cities not using these abandoned towers to create affordable or homeless housing? What the is wrong with this country? Depending on the age and condition of the building, sometimes it can actually be more economic.
Yeah, except that person has asked that question specifically about the fucking half-built tower in the middle of goddamn downtown Los Angeles. And that was a newly built tower. They just didn't finish it. Just finish the fucking project. What do you mean?
Viable to demolish the building and build something new. Older office buildings or pre-war office buildings, ventilation required that windows be provided for every office space. So it's easier to convert these older office buildings to residential because they're already laid out like our residential buildings. Newer buildings are very difficult to convert to residential, and it's very expensive to do this. If you want to convert this into a residential building, you have to replace all of these windows. You can't have a bed bedroom without an opening window. You would have to puncture a hole in the middle of the building to provide window access, reconfigure all of the plumbing in the building to hook up to all of the individual bathrooms and kitchens, change the electricity supply, change the HVAC systems. So this requires just completely transforming the inside guts of these buildings. In New York City, there's about 94 million square feet of unused office space. That's equivalent to all of the office space in Dallas and Houston combined. It's a huge amount of vacant space right now, and we have to figure out what to do with it. At Hive for Housing says, what housing technologies are here to stay? Modular? Modular housing can also be referred to as prefab. Different components will be manufactured in different manufacturing sites. They're all brought back to the site and assembled kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. The manufacturing can take place where labor is cheaper, and it also doesn't disturb the neighborhood as much. Another newish building technology that I'm really excited about is something called mass timber, where wood is laminated together with a special glue to create really large beams of wood that are very strong. They're also fire resistant. They have a lower carbon footprint as well. Mass timber is now becoming stronger, and so it can be used to build higher and higher buildings. Previous to a couple of years ago, the highest building you could build in the United States out of timber was 6 stories. Now you can build 18 stories. So we're going to start seeing high rises built entirely of wood. It's pretty amazing. At Readlight says, it will be interesting to see how the value of oceanfront property changes as sea levels continue to rise. This will be really interesting. So far though, it really hasn't affected home prices. At Schmohawking asks, what is redlining? It's kind of come to signify any sort of racial discrimination in housing, but actually there's a really specific history around redlining. This is a redlining map from Cleveland. In the 1930s, the United States federal government decided to start a new mortgage program to allow home buyers to access federally backed mortgages. The government created these maps to determine where their investments would be safe. Green areas, you see down here, is where the federal government felt that their money would be well used. They also created a D class or red class, which was really a no-go zone where the federal government did not want to provide government-backed mortgages. These redlined areas were where Black families lived. It made it very difficult for residents living in these areas, predominantly Black residents, to access mortgages. Many of these maps exist for communities all across the United States. These maps were not made public until 1978 when a historian stumbled upon them. If you look at the neighborhoods that were historically red,
Not being explicit about the racism? Yes, she is. What are you talking about? This is a fucking academic. She 100% is saying that. What are you talking about? What, you think she's like saying, oh, they accidentally stumbled upon the Black neighborhoods that they purposely excluded from fucking mortgages, like federally backed mortgages? No, she's like very openly saying that that is what is going on.
blind, these are still some of the most racially segregated neighborhoods across the United States. And those effects are still felt today. Many of the historically redlined neighborhoods have experienced disinvestment, and more recently, many of them have become targets for gentrification, displacing many of these residents as well. At Don Gotti says, is gentrification all bad? Pretty much. There's something called direct displacement. People are directly displaced from their homes because they can no longer afford the high.
Chatter's doing what they do to you to the video. I know, literally. She'll be explaining it. And Chatters will be like, the thing that she's explaining, I think she should be explaining harder.
Higher rents. Something else happens as well that's called indirect displacement. The shops are different, the community members are different, and so this is kind of making you feel uncomfortable in your own neighborhood. Both of these things are bad. I think a lot of people think about gentrification associated with these kind of design choices that hipsters make. So you think of the Helvetica house numbers or sometimes the gentrification fences around homes. Really, these are kind of an effect of gentrification. They're not causing gentrification. Gentrification is really caused by institutional investment in lower income neighborhoods. Investors are coming in and recognizing what's called a rent gap, the gap between the current rents that are charged in low income area and the potential to charge higher rents. These neighborhoods might be really centrally located, might be near transit, and so investors see an opportunity to buy up and improve buildings and then take advantage of that gap by charging higher rents. At Burns12 Regina says, I'm confused as to how exactly our Airbnb.
These usernames are so funny. Oh my God. Burns 12 Regina.
These affecting the housing
Regina.
market. A lot of rentals that would have been provided for permanent residents have transitioned to Airbnb housing, which means it reduces the amount of total rentals available on the market and drives prices up. For example, we can look to London. It is the city with the largest number of Airbnbs in the entire world. 50,000 Airbnb units were previously long-term rental units in London. That means that 50,000 rental apartments were taken off the market and are no longer available to permanent residents. Also, some research has shown that Airbnbs increasing actually contributes to gentrification and raising home prices in certain neighborhoods. At Scotty ZS says, how the did my parents buy a house at 26 years old while I have $2,000 in my bank account? I feel your pain, Scotty ZS. Really, things are much different for millennials than they were for boomers. When boomers were reaching the age to buy a home around the late 80s, early 90s, if you made about $50,000 a year, the average home at that point was about $121,000. So that's really only about a 2 times increase from your income. There is a little bit of a dip here following the 2008 recession, but it increased dramatically since. The median home price increased by 43%, where the median income only increased by 7%. The average right now in the United States is a home price that is about 6 times the median income. If you think about very expensive places like the California coast or New York City, that can be about 11 times the median income. At Kevin V. Dahlgren asks, what is the leading cause of homelessness? There are a lot of common misconceptions around people who are unhoused, that perhaps drug use is involved, that there are mental illnesses, and these things do exist, but they are not the drivers of homelessness. Recent research from the University of California, San Francisco actually found that the leading cause of homelessness is a lack of access to affordable housing.
What? No. What? No. No. What? What? Oh, come on now. What's next, guys? The leading cause of gun violence is unrestricted, unfettered access to a market of guns. I mean, come on. Who told you that? Fucking Mao? Who did that study, huh? Mao Zedong? Is that who? Come on. Come on. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Yeah, okay, dude. That's bullshit. What's next? Paywalling access to healthcare actually yields worse returns for the overall healthcare of every citizen? Pfft, no. No. What else? What else? Privatizing otherwise public education leads to worse educational outcomes overall for every citizen? Stop, dude. There's no way those are real things, okay? La 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 la. I can't hear you. Stop it. Fucking stop. Stop playing with me. Stop. Privatizing prisons leads to mass incarceration? No, that would never happen. Creating a profit incentive to lock up more people would not lead to locking up more people as a consequence of that, especially when you can legally enslave people that are imprisoned. No, I will not believe you. I will believe other things instead. I choose to not believe what you're saying because it sounds like some commie bullshit. I choose to instead believe in other things, like how you are wrong and gay and possibly a Marxist, which is worse than all the other things.
It's very easy to lose your home. 8.5 million Americans right now are at risk of becoming homeless because rents are so high and incomes are so low. Any increase in rent or perhaps a medical emergency could be the difference between someone remaining in their home and becoming unhoused. At News Manu says, why are there so many homeless in Los Angeles? There's a common myth that there are a lot of unhoused people in Los Angeles because they move there for access to the good weather.
Yeah.
This is really not true. Researchers have found that the vast majority of people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles are from California and even from that specific county.
Okay, yeah.
That they previously
I was wrong. She is right. My bad.
Had housing in that area and were then priced out of it and became unhoused. California, as you can see here, has the most number of unhoused people of any state across the country.
God, this is the most cursed map of all time, dude. Who's in the shitter? Which state is worse, has a worse fucking housing crisis than the next? You're joking, right? What do you mean? Oh, everything I was talking about with like the guns and the healthcare and all that stuff. Yes, dude, I was being facetious. Fuck.
Country. This number has increased 40% since 2007. New York also has a very high number of about 103,000 people.
Bro, how the fuck are there homeless people in even Wyoming, dude? What is happening in this country? Bro, how? How is that possible? How is that possible? There are 500,000 people in Wyoming. How the fuck are you homeless? How did they let this happen? That makes no dang sense. There are 2 million cows in the state of Wyoming, 500,000 people in the state of Wyoming.
People. There are differences though. Most of the unhoused people in California are unsheltered. This means they don't have access to temporary shelter facilities. In New York, the majority of those people are sheltered. That's a result of a policy in New York City called Right to Shelter. New York City is the only city in the country that mandates the city to provide a shelter bed to every single person who requests it. At Don J says, why are corporations buying up houses just to rent them? Why should any house be owned by Walmart? I don't know about Walmart, but corporations are certainly buying up houses. There was a lot of internet speculation about a company called BlackRock, which is a private equity firm, buying up single-family homes and renting them out. This isn't really happening. However, BlackRock is investing in real estate investment trusts that are investing in apartment building acquisitions and rentals. So BlackRock isn't buying up suburban homes, but they are investing in the rental market. And so corporations are recognizing real estate as an asset class that they would like to invest in, just like stocks.
It's the same fucking thing. No, but she's right. She's right to parse through it. Everybody thinks like it's like BlackRock, 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 and that is only one part of the puzzle. I don't like that people think that it's just BlackRock, or that it's like speculators that are like fucking up the housing market when it existed even before BlackRock was like, wow, this shit's actually pretty pog.
And bonds. This is a form of what's called the financialization of housing. And this really means the transition of housing from a social good, from something we need to live, to something that can be bought and sold and traded and where people can make lots of money. At Hody Hydebar Alley 1 asks, why are there so few houses on the market? It takes a very long time for developers to receive approvals to build their projects. In Santa Monica, California, the average development takes 48 months to be approved. That's 48 months where the developer is waiting for approval before they can begin construction. Increasing interest rates are also affecting housing supply.
Okay, she's a little bit of a, I feel like she's a little bit of a yimby, I think. Like, a little bit. She doing the yimby thing, yeah. But to be fair, I mean, she is Canadian and also like a urban policy professor, so you got to be a yimby. Wait, why does Hasan not like yimbys again? Any policy that libertarians advocate for, I'm going to be a little bit questionable on, okay? If Larry Elder is saying the same things that you're saying on Twitter, then maybe there's a little bit more to the problem than what you think is the solution. That's all I'm saying. Libertarians are not yimbies by and large. Yes, they are. Yimbies are fine. They're just annoying. I mean, there's a lot of things that yimbies advocate for that are correct. Okay, more housing is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's also the type of housing that it needs to be built that is important, though. I never know how to respond to yimbies who cheer for, like, she doesn't cheer for luxury housing. She openly stated that that's a problem. I never know how to respond to yimbys who cheer for luxury housing with the thought that it increases the housing supply and thus reduces rents for the average renter. I feel like there's evidence on all housing is good side, but I don't know. It doesn't feel very socialist. It's not. And they're wrong. It doesn't. As a matter of fact, luxury housing has slated to, or has sometimes, in some instances, actually only decreased the overall inflation of the cost of housing, but never decreased the cost of housing. And sometimes it actually leads to increasing the cost of housing even further, because now there's more expensive real estate in the market. So all of the other landlords go, oh, look, see, this is a gentrified neighborhood. Now we're going to fucking increase our rent because there's a Whole Foods down the line. Huh. Why are libertarians yimbies? Yimbies, yes, in my backyarders, are a response to NIMBYs who say, not in my backyard, which is to say, no development in my backyard. Yes, development in my backyard. Yimbies are not as bad as NIMBYs who object to any kind of development whatsoever because they fear that it will change the culture and the overall vibes of the city, which is to say, we don't want fucking poor people or black people living in our neighborhoods. That's usually what NIMBYs are doing. Anyway, in Miami, a bunch of Yimbies were happy at the rezoning and building up a bunch of new apartments near me. My rent went up and I'm moving back in with my parents. Yeah. Yimby, a person who believes building more housing and getting rid of cars would solve the homelessness crisis, but doesn't dive deeper into housing policy or fixing public transportation. Usually tech bros from San Francisco love Airbnb. No, Yimbys don't love Airbnb. Yimbys are in favor of deregulation and the abolition of like zoning restrictions, specifically single family zoning. Single family housing units are actually genuinely an issue in cities like San Francisco and even in cities like Los Angeles. I don't think Yimbys are in favor of Airbnb. I've never met a Yimby that is in favor of Airbnb. It's funny you mentioned Whole Foods because I was just about to mention an apartment building in my neighborhood in San Francisco that's right across the street from Whole Foods, but it's going to be 100% affordable units and it's being built giga quickly, which is sick to see. I don't know how to properly word this, but I feel like the label of luxury housing ruins the overall understanding of what you deserve for housing. Obviously, having a dog washing station is a luxury and perhaps excessive, but the idea of having in-unit laundry and a dishwasher being classified as luxury is insane to me. Everyone is deserving of good housing. The problem is, even if it's good housing, the pricing is luxury. Even if it's housing that everybody deserves, the pricing is at a luxury price point. That's the issue. Once again, market conditions and all. Ultimately, my major issue with Yimbys in general, even though some might correctly call me a Yimby as well, because I do believe that we need to build more housing. My major disagreement with Yimbys is that this is not like the market doesn't work, and this is not a market solution to a problem. In a perfect world, there would be no market whatsoever when it comes to housing. Or at least a market would exist for, I guess, second houses or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Only for your vacation homes in a perfect future where everybody already had a permanent housing. Kaya, place. What are you doing, baby? Why are you sitting on the ground? It's bad for you. Place. No. Get. No. Do not look at me like that. Do not look at me like that.
Specifically for existing homes. If you purchase your home prior to the recent increases in interest rates, you don't want to sell and buy a new home and risk getting a bad interest rate. If we look at
thoughts on 501 style housing, don't get me fucking started. I think it's ugly as shit. I think it's ugly as sin. I honestly think boring ass, gray ass, brutalist architecture, Soviet style apartment blocks are infinitely preferable to the fucking ugly ass 5/1 housing units that we see everywhere. I think they are a stain. They are a stain. They are a blight on every fucking modern city. I despise it so much. It hurts my soul to see. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the fuck I'm talking about. This is the perfect representation of 5/1 buildings right here. You see this shit? Oh, God. Oh, what a fucking blight this is. Oh, my God. I hate it. I fucking hate it so much. I hate it. Isn't that mixed use housing? No, dude, the fucking look of it, okay? Did you not hear what I just said? I think this design is dog shit. It's not, oh, God, oh. I just hate it. I love having all these just so we can use the rest of the area for parking spaces. Yeah. It's so nasty. I fucking hate it. Sorry, boss, but 5/1 is the only density America's ever going to get. It just sucks so much ass. Bro, you have zero taste. You think this is taste? This is cyanide. That's what you're tasting. What you're tasting right now is fucking poison. Okay? Meanwhile, in Superior Soviet building, unironically much prefer this. At least every fucking unit has a balcony, bro. What do you mean? And probably living spaces in between as well, like public spaces in between it. Oh, God. Someone said my trigger word, Culver City. Oh, God. Oh, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it, chatter. I love how fucking stupid people are, where they think like I'm not grossed out by this design and I just hate the concept of multiple family units. Like that's what I'm advocating against here. I hate multiple family units and not like how ugly, how much of a blight this fucking shit is. It's so stupid. While I'm literally in the process of explaining to you how I would prefer even this, which is my least favorite overarching style in architecture. Yimpies have no fucking brain processing power. They're like, no, my way or the highway. It has to be this ugly ass dog shit.